So, abortion morbidity, let's talk a bit about delayed complications. As Mr. Henry Morgentaler specifies in his book of 1982, Abortion and Contraception, complications often occur in the weeks following the procedure. And so we have note 1, and we refer you to the exact pages to go see that information. These complications are due either to incomplete abortion, and Mr. Morgentaler admits it is the most frequent delayed complication of legally induced abortion at page 82 of his book, or they're due to silent uterine perforations, the latter being said to be almost inevitable, even with suction curettage. Note 3 you will see at this specific reference study by abortion experts who say that they're almost inevitable. And the most common injury following induced abortion, okay, so the World Health Organization says that that's the most common injury following abortion. So those are the delayed complications. And so long-term consequences include breast cancer, suicide, increased risk of suicide, sterility, and for the ulterior pregnancies, we have ectopic pregnancy, malformation, stillbirth, spontaneous abortion, premature delivery, and the risks increase absolutely in an incredible manner after abortion, especially numerous abortions, but one is enough to increase the risks dramatically. So you can see our Right to Know website for all the hundreds of scientific references that explain the long-term risks in the short and medium term as well. So it's at www.abortinfo.org. Now, abortion mortality. This is something that I discovered, and so it's called a medical misadventure. I called the Ontario Vital Statistics medical office, well, the Vital Statistics office, and I spoke to the medical coder Debbie Hyatt in 1999 there. She's one of the numerous coders. And I asked her, are there deaths due to legally induced abortion? And I know that there are, because there are lots of studies about that in the United States. And if so, how do you code them? Because in the Therapeutic Abortions publication of Statistics Canada, there are just a few in the last few years that are mentioned as specifically being attributable to legally induced abortion. So where are they? And she said, my dear, we cannot code them under legally induced abortion. There is something called the ICD Rule number 12, and there's also ICD Recommendation number 7. And she said, for the Rule number 12 says, for the modification of the selection of the underlying cause of death, so you regard the sequence of events as starting at the point at which the medical error or accident occurred. So she said, we code them as medical misadventures. So there are different codes for these causes of death that you can see on the death certificate that is written up by the medical coder, or the medical examiner, or the coroner. So you have accidental poisoning by drugs, because many drugs are involved in an abortion. You also have a misadventure during surgical and medical care. It can be put under that title. And the other possible classifications for legally induced abortion deaths include complications of medical procedures without mention of the misadventure, substances causing adverse effects in therapeutic use, other and unspecified environmental and accidental causes, late effects of accidental injury, certain adverse effects not elsewhere classified, complications of surgical and medical care not elsewhere classified. And so if we get to ICD recommendation number 7, it says, if an untoward effect of treatment is responsible for the death, then the effect should be coded as a cause of death rather than the condition. Now I did a little bit of research on that. There were 154 medical accident deaths to women of reproductive age identified by Statistics Canada in 1995. Only 7 provinces in Canada have a pregnancy question on the death certificate. So if you don't have a pregnancy question, you'll never know whether the death was maternal or related to a cause of pregnancy or not. There are only 7 provinces in Canada have that question. And if there is such a checkbox on the death certificate, it is often left unchecked. And this is all information relayed to me by Mrs. Debbie Hyatt. So there's no way of knowing how many of these deaths were maternal and how many were abortion-related. So there's a definite problem here with how death certificates are written up. And let's finish off on that. Abortion mortality, points that are very important. Legally induced abortion deaths are often coded under natural death causes like septicemia, renal failure, hemorrhage, etc. There is no ICD cause of death training for coroners, absolutely none whatsoever. The cause of death must be written inside Part 1 of the death certificate, otherwise it is an external cause and cannot be accepted as the cause of death. Most coroners have no idea where to put the cause of death with regards to abortion, and that's why it doesn't end up in the statistics. And there's no way to distinguish on death certificates abortion-related maternal deaths from non-abortive maternal deaths. Hence, and this is very important, abortion-related deaths are often attributed to non-abortive pregnancy. You see me coming with that, eh? So with ICD, fetuses from induced abortion are not a reportable pregnancy outcome. And yet the rules say if there is no information as to delivery on the death certificate, it may be assumed that delivery occurred. So all of the above explains how statistics can be manipulated to state the fallacy that childbirth is 7 to 10 times more dangerous than abortion. That is the problem that we're wrestling with here, and that is being pushed in by various health organizations, that is much more desirable as a pregnancy outcome to have an abortion than to actually deliver a child. So on this note, I thank you for listening to me, and I hope this will be useful to you. The printed version of this is available, and I think that you will make a wonderful career, wonderful help for Canada. We do need you, doctors. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. God bless.